Good morning/afternoon, everyone. I want to start with a question. Have you ever gone through something so painful that you questioned everything? Maybe you've asked, why is this happening to me? Or what did I do to deserve this? Here's what I want you to know: your pain is not random. It's not meaningless. It has a purpose. And no, I'm not here to give you a sugar-coated message that just says everything happens for a reason, because I know that sometimes life just hurts. But what I do believe, and what research backs up, is this: pain can be a profound teacher if we let it. Pain isn't here to punish us, it's here to shape us. It's easy to think that when we experience hardship, failure, or loss, it must mean that we did something wrong or that life is somehow against us. But what if pain wasn't a form of punishment at all? What if, instead, it was an invitation? An invitation to grow, to learn, and to become something greater than we were before. One of the most powerful realizations we can have is that pain is not our enemy. Pain is a messenger, a teacher, and a guide. It forces us to slow down, to pay attention, and to reassess the way we are living. When we are comfortable, we rarely question things. We move through life on autopilot, assuming that what we are doing is working. But when pain enters the picture, it disrupts that pattern. It forces us to take a step back and examine our choices, our beliefs, and even the way we see ourselves. It asks us to reflect on who we are and who we want to become. Think about the times in your life when you've learned the most about yourself. Were they moments of ease and comfort? Probably not. More likely, they were times of challenge, heartbreak, or uncertainty. Maybe it was the loss of a job that forced you to reevaluate what you truly wanted in a career. Maybe it was a painful breakup that showed you what kind of love you deserve. Maybe it was a personal failure that made you realize your own strength and resilience. These experiences were painful, yes, but they also carried wisdom. They taught you something. They shaped you. Pain pushes us beyond what we think we can handle. It stretches us. It reveals parts of ourselves that we might not have otherwise discovered. There is something profoundly transformative about struggle. It builds depth. It gives us perspective. It makes us more compassionate, more empathetic, and more in tune with the human experience. When we have suffered, we become more capable of understanding the suffering of others. And in that understanding, we develop deeper connections, greater kindness, and a more profound appreciation for life itself. The problem is that we often resist pain. We try to numb it, avoid it, or pretend it isn't there. We distract ourselves with busyness, social media, or other external escapes. But the truth is, what we resist persists. The more we push pain away, the more it lingers beneath the surface, influencing our actions in ways we don't even realize. When we don't face our pain, it can turn into bitterness, resentment, or even self-doubt. But when we acknowledge it, sit with it, and learn from it, we take away its power over us. We transform it into something meaningful. Many of the greatest stories of triumph and success are built on a foundation of struggle. If you look at the lives of people who have achieved extraordinary things, you will almost always find that their journey was not easy. They faced obstacles, setbacks, and moments of deep pain. But instead of letting those moments define them in a negative way, they used them as fuel. They allowed pain to be their teacher rather than their limitation. Pain teaches resilience. Every time we go through something difficult and come out on the other side, we prove to ourselves that we are stronger than we thought. We build endurance. We develop courage. We learn that we can withstand more than we imagined. And the vulnerability is one of the most misunderstood aspects of human experience. In a world that often glorifies strength as toughness, invincibility, and self-sufficiency, vulnerability is seen as the opposite, something to be hidden, suppressed, or avoided. We are taught from a young age that showing emotions, admitting struggles, or asking for help is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, vulnerability is not weakness. It is, in fact, one of the most profound sources of strength we have. It is the foundation of courage, connection, and authenticity. To be vulnerable is to show up in life without guarantees. It means opening ourselves up to uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It is standing in front of the world and saying, "This is who I am," without knowing how we will be received. It is loving fully without assurance that we will be loved in return. It is trying something new without the promise of success. It is speaking our truth even when our voice shakes. It is facing the possibility of rejection, failure, and heartbreak while still choosing to engage wholeheartedly. That is not weakness, that is extraordinary bravery. Culturally, we have been conditioned to associate strength with control, perfection, and emotional restraint. We admire people who seem unshakable, who never falter, who never let their guard down. But if we look closely, we realize that true strength is not found in perfection or in vulnerability. It is found in the willingness to be real, to be open, to be human. The strongest people are not the ones who never struggle, they are the ones who embrace their struggles with honesty and courage. They are the ones who say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm still showing up. There is an undeniable power in being seen for who we truly are. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite others to do the same. We break down walls. We build trust. We create spaces where real connection can happen. Think about the relationships that mean the most to you. Are they built on perfection and invulnerability, or are they built on honesty and shared experiences? The deepest bonds are formed not when we pretend to have it all together, but when we share our fears, our doubts, and our struggles. When we allow others to witness our imperfections, we give them permission to do the same. That is where connection is born. One of the biggest myths about vulnerability is that it makes us weak or open to harm. And yes, vulnerability comes with risk. When we open up, we risk being judged, rejected, or hurt. But the alternative, closing ourselves off, numbing our emotions, avoiding connection, is far more damaging in the long run. When we shut ourselves off from vulnerability, we don't just avoid pain, we also avoid joy, love, and deep fulfillment. We build walls to keep ourselves safe, but those same walls keep us isolated. We may avoid rejection, but we also miss out on belonging. We may avoid failure, but we also miss out on growth. We may avoid heartbreak, but we also miss out on love. Vulnerability is at the core of everything meaningful. It is the birthplace of creativity because creating anything new requires the risk of failure. It is the foundation of courage because bravery is not the absence of fear but the willingness to act in spite of it. It is essential for leadership because the best leaders are not those who pretend to have all the answers but those who are willing to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. Vulnerability is at the heart of every great story, every act of innovation, every moment of deep connection. Without it, we are merely existing, not fully living. Yet, despite its power, we resist vulnerability because it feels uncomfortable. It requires us to let go of control, to embrace uncertainty, to step into the unknown. But discomfort is not a sign that we are doing something wrong, it is a sign that we are growing. Every time we show discomfort is something we are wired to avoid. From an early age, we seek comfort, security, and stability because discomfort feels like a threat to our well-being. But the truth is, every significant moment of growth, transformation, and self-discovery comes from discomfort. It is in the moments when we are challenged, when we feel uncertain, when we are pushed beyond what is familiar, that we expand into something greater than we were before. Discomfort is not a sign that we are failing, it is a sign that we are growing. Think about any major milestone in life: learning a new skill, building a meaningful relationship, pursuing a dream, or overcoming a personal struggle. None of these things happen in a place of comfort. They require effort, risk, and the willingness to endure uncertainty. When we step outside of our comfort zone, we enter the space where real change happens. This is because growth does not happen when things are easy, it happens when things are hard. The process of becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient is uncomfortable by design. One of the biggest reasons people avoid discomfort is because it feels unfamiliar. We fear the unknown because we cannot control it. But if we only stay where we feel safe, we limit ourselves. We miss opportunities. We stay stuck in patterns that no longer serve us. There is a reason why people who take risks, who challenge themselves, and who embrace discomfort tend to achieve more and experience life more fully. It is not because they are more talented or lucky, it is because they understand that discomfort is a necessary part of the process. They see it not as something to run from but as something to lean into. Discomfort forces us to confront our fears. It shows us what we are capable of. It pushes us to ask deeper questions about who we are and what we want. When we avoid discomfort, we often settle for less than we deserve because it feels easier. But when we embrace it, we realize that the things we once thought were impossible are actually within our reach. Growth is not about never feeling uncomfortable, it is about learning to sit with discomfort and trust that it is leading us somewhere meaningful. There is a reason why some of the greatest breakthroughs in history, whether in science, art, business, or personal achievement, have come from people who were willing to endure discomfort. They faced rejection, failure, and uncertainty, but they didn't let it stop them. Instead, they used discomfort as a tool for learning. Every time they failed, they adapted. Every time they struggled, they grew stronger. This is the mindset that turns discomfort into a powerful force for transformation. The challenge is that discomfort does not always give us immediate rewards. In a world that values instant gratification, we are often tempted to choose what feels good in the moment rather than what will serve us in the long run. But true growth is not about quick fixes, it is about sustained effort. The people who achieve their goals, who build meaningful lives, who experience deep fulfillment are not the ones who always take the easy path. They are the ones who are willing to be uncomfortable, to put in the work, to endure setbacks, and to keep going even when things get hard. It is easy to look at someone who is successful and assume that they had an easier path. But if we look closer, we see that their journey was likely filled with struggle. The difference is that they did not let discomfort stop them. They understood that the very thing that felt challenging in the moment was the thing that was making them stronger. Discomfort is not a barrier to success, it is the path to it. One of the most important things we can learn is that discomfort is temporary, but the growth it brings lasts forever. When we push through challenges, we develop skills, resilience, and confidence that stay with us for life. Every difficult situation we face is an opportunity. Connection is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience. It is what gives life meaning, what grounds us in moments of uncertainty, and what helps us heal when we are hurting. Yet, in a world that often prioritizes independence, self-sufficiency, and achievement, connection can sometimes feel secondary. We are taught to be strong on our own, to handle things by ourselves, to push through challenges without leaning on others. But the truth is, healing does not happen in isolation. Healing happens in connection. When we are struggling, when we feel lost, broken, or overwhelmed, our first instinct may be to withdraw. We may convince ourselves that no one will understand, that we do not want to burden others, or that it is safer to deal with things alone. But isolation only deepens pain. It keeps us stuck in our own minds, trapped in cycles of self-doubt, fear, or shame. The very thing we need most in those moments, connection, is often the thing we resist. Yet, when we allow ourselves to be seen, when we reach out, when we let others in, something powerful happens. The weight of our struggles feels lighter. The things that seemed impossible feel more manageable. The act of sharing, of being heard, of being understood reminds us that we are not alone. There is something profoundly healing about knowing that someone else sees us, hears us, and cares. It does not mean they have to fix our problems or have all the answers. Often, just the act of being present, of holding space for another person, is enough. It is in those moments of connection when we feel safe to be ourselves, when we can speak without fear of judgment, when we are met with empathy and understanding, that we begin to heal. We realize that our struggles do not define us, that we are worthy of love and support, and that we are not meant to carry the burdens of life alone. Connection reminds us that we belong, and belonging is one of the deepest human needs. We are wired for connection from the moment we are born. We thrive when we feel a sense of community, when we know we have people who care about us, when we feel understood. Studies have shown that people who have strong, meaningful connections with others are not only happier but also physically healthier. The presence of connection reduces stress, lowers anxiety, and even improves overall well-being. It is not just emotional support, it is essential to our overall health. Healing through connection does not always come in the form of deep, serious conversations. Sometimes it is in the simple moments, the laughter shared with a friend, the knowing glance from someone who understands, the hug that says, "I'm here." Connection is found in the everyday acts of love, kindness, and presence. It is in the small gestures that remind us we are valued and that we matter. It is in the reassurance that no matter what we are going through, we do not have to face it alone. One of the greatest myths about connection is that we have to be completely healed before we can share ourselves with others. That we need to have it all figured out before we can truly connect. But the truth is, connection is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. It is about showing up as we are, even when we are struggling. In fact, some of the deepest connections are formed not in moments of strength, but in moments of vulnerability. When we are willing to say, I'm struggling, we give others permission to do the same. We break down the illusion that everyone else has it all together. We create space for real, honest relationships. Healing through connection also means being there for others, just as they are there for us. When we support others, when we listen, when we offer kindness, we create a cycle of healing. Connection is not just about receiving, it is also about giving. And often, in the act of supporting someone else, we find healing ourselves. We remember that we have something to owe.